Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest developments from the world's youngest nation, South Sudan, which is teetering on the brink of civil war and has found itself in a diplomatic row with the United States. In the latest update, divisions are emerging within South Sudan's main opposition party, the Sudan People's Liberation Movement in Opposition, or the SPLM-IO. Now, this comes as its leaders, the first Vice President Riek Machar, is still under house arrest in the capital, Juba. Now, the rift emerged after the SPLM-IO announced that they would appoint Stephen Parkour, South Sudan's Minister of Peacebuilding, as the interim leader while Machar remained in custody. However, mere hours later, the military wing of the party, the Sudan People's Liberation Army in Opposition, or the SPLA-IO, announced that they remained under the full command and control of Machar. Now, they also accused Kual of being a betrayer. Now, Kual was suspended from the party earlier this week over accusations of attempting to create disunity within the party by mobilizing to replace Machar with the support of President Salva Kiir's government. But on Wednesday, Kual quashed those accusations, claiming this was not a coup. He stated that the party had approved the interim leadership until Machar is released.
It is not a coup. What we have done is to resolve this leadership crisis that has been created by the crisis that comes as a result of detention of our chairmen and the desertions of our other leaders like the deputy chair and the secretary general.
South Sudan, which gained independence from Sudan in 2011, descended into a brutal civil war 2 years later. The 2018 peace agreement ended the fighting and led to the formation of a fragile unity government between rivals Kiir and Machar. But in recent weeks, the fragile balance of power has been unraveling, and fears of a return to civil war are growing, especially after Machar was put under house arrest by Kiir on accusations of fueling violence in the north through forces loyal to him. Since February, Kiir has detained more than 20 of Machar's political and military allies, while he has also reshuffled his cabinet in what experts claim is a way to tighten his grip on power. Separately, reports suggest that President Kiir has also fired his foreign affairs minister. While reasons for the dismissal remain unclear, it coincided with the diplomatic spat between South Sudan and the United States. Last week, Washington suspended all visas and blocked new arrivals from the country, accusing Juba of refusing to accept its citizens in a timely manner. South Sudan claimed that the citizen deported was a DRC national and thus was refused entry. But it later clawed back on the claims and allowed the entry of the DRC citizen, in the best interest of its relations with the U.S. Meanwhile, Washington has also been pushing Juba to de-escalate the internal tensions at the earliest and to avoid slipping into a civil war. But as divisions emerge within the opposition, will this undermine the fragile peace in the country? Now, to discuss more on this, we are being joined by Luke Anami, an international affairs expert from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Alison.
What does the replacement of Riek Machar with a government-aligned minister signal about the internal dynamics of South Sudan's opposition party? And how might this shift affect the fragile power-sharing arrangement with President Salva Kiir?
First, before I even answer the question should be more on how was that carried out. The president's allies met at a hotel, about 500 of them, but they didn't have the leaders of the SPLA SPLM-IO that Riek Machar leads. And therefore, you can see that it was a politically calculated move to actually oust Machar and fill the President Kiir's government with the friendly members of the party. So, in other words, it's just a move that Kiir did in 2016, which again he's repeating right now, and this has a very serious implication on the peace process.
Now, given President Kiir's recent dismissal of the foreign minister amid the diplomatic standoff with the US, how are these events reshaping South Sudan's international standing and its relations with key partners?
The sacking of the Ramadan comes at a time when Trump's tariffs and most of them are actually causing havoc around the country. But it is a move that Kiir has implemented right now. You need to be very keen to notice that Ramadan belongs to another political party. The president has powers to sack ministers from the government as well as from the state, but only the political parties that are appointed, those people can actually replace. So it gave an opportunity for Kiir to replace Ramadan with his allies. Again, it is all being played in the peace process. You can see very well that Kiir is trying to get more and more of people close to him, and this is going to affect how South Sudan is going to be viewed internationally, because Ramadan has been very key in trying to foster good foreign relations with other countries. And his replacement of this deputy, of course, it's seen as a continuity, but it will still affect on how South Sudan relates with other foreign countries, especially diplomatic circles, where South Sudan is seeking peace after a very long time of internal strife.
Right. And Luke, with both political and military tensions escalating, evidenced by Machar's house arrest and, of course, these alleged conspiracies, just quickly, in your view, how likely is a return to the full-scale conflict, and what role can international actors and regional actors play to mitigate this possible crisis?
Yeah, just quickly, as good as the way you put it, we are actually seeing South Sudan escalate into an internal strife again, just the way it did in 2016, when the 2018 peace accord was finally on the table. You could see that that brought some kind of a calm in South Sudan. But as it is, with the happenings in South Sudan, you can see the sidelining of Machar. You can see one today, I think yesterday, one of the army commanders of Kiir defected to Machar's army. Now he has sacked the foreign minister. He has put Machar under house arrest. There is no chance for a peace. Actually, what's looming is we are actually seeing a looming war in South Sudan, and that can explode anytime soon. The international community through IGAD and the neighboring countries have actually trying to resolve. But at the moment, everybody's paying attention to what the US tariffs are going to do to their economies. So there'll be very little time left or a moment left for African leaders and other leaders to actually focus on South Sudan. And that's where the catch is. We are likely to see a country that's going into a war without the full support from the international community. Yes.
Luke, thank you very much for being with us on First Post Africa.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
No, I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too. Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.